Well, greetings, social media friends. Dr. Jeff Riggenbaugh back here with you on another Tips Tuesday, where I come to you each Tuesday and bring you a tip, tool, or tidbit for dealing with the difficult people in your life. The content from this free social media series comes from my brand new book, Disarming High Conflict Personalities, and the coaching program that goes along with that. Hope you enjoyed last week's installment on 3 red flags for identifying bullies in your life or in your organization. Today, we're going to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to give you 3 tips for dealing with bullies in your life. By the way, if you haven't gotten your free tip sheet, click on the link below, grab your top 10 tips for dealing with bullies. By the way, if you click on that link, that'll also put you on the email list where you will get a weekly tip, tool, or tidbit for dealing with bullies or other difficult people in your life. So be sure you grab that tip sheet before you end the video today. Today's video, as I mentioned, is going to go over 3 tips, 3 of those top 10 tips on the sheet for dealing with bullies. And tip number 1 is feed their need to succeed. Feed their need to succeed. I think it's important to realize that most bullies, and bullies in the sense that we talk about them, in the personality sense that I describe them in the book, their need is not to hurt you. Their need is to succeed or to win. And oftentimes they just run over you in the process. So if we can set up some healthy ways or more successful ways for them to feel accomplished and to feel like they can win, oftentimes that's a way to harness this personality part of the bully in a more effective way. So whether it's in the education setting, in the classroom, in the workplace, if we can set up small competitions, okay, come up with ways for them to really get those competitive juices flowing and feel like they can create a win for them. And if we can create wins for them in healthy ways, then oftentimes they don't have to run over people in the process to create their own wins. So tip number 1, feed their need to succeed. Tip number 2 for dealing with bullies is to not take it personally. I realize this is easier said than done, but for a lot of people, if you can get past that initial what they did to run over you. And by the way, I'm not saying don't do anything about it. Children should report their bullies to their teachers. I mean, teachers should report other bullies to administrators. Maybe in the workplace, you do need to talk to a supervisor or file a grievance or so. I mean, there oftentimes is a place to still do something, but I'm not even talking about what we do as much as how we think about it. And if we can do everything we can to not take it personally, the bully's main sin, if you will, here is not that they hurt you on purpose. Their main sin is that they failed to acknowledge that you even exist in the first place. So oftentimes they're not thinking, oh, I really showed him. I really ran over him on the way to my goal, or I really ran over her. I really got her. No, I mean, most bullies are just thinking, well, who is she? I mean, who is he? So they didn't even realize that they hurt your feelings or that they ran over you in some way in the first place. And so if we can just at the mindset level, realize they treat everybody this way. It doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean maybe there are times that I should do something about it, but we can get less worked up. And if we get less worked up over it, then we oftentimes respond in more productive ways to them. One of the things that I find in all the training that I do is that many people get so upset with bullies. They let them get under their skin so much that they oftentimes respond in ways that feeds that harmful interaction. And they almost, I don't want to say they ask for it, but they create a lot more difficulty for themselves in the relationship with that bully than they need to. And many people will end up putting more energy into hurting the bully than they do into helping themselves, because it gets so important to get that person back or hurt them in some way. So whatever we can do to not take it personally can be helpful when dealing with bullies. Tip number 3, when dealing with the bully, is sometimes we have to use leverage. We don't like it when it comes to this, and it doesn't have to be done in a threatening way. But with the bullies, more so actually than any other of our 7 types of difficult people, sometimes it's necessary to kind of go over their heads. Bullies sometimes more so than all of the other 7 types of difficult people, really need some external incentive. Okay, they are not going to do what it is that we need them to do unless somebody else is making them do it. And believe it or not, there are ways to do this in ways that aren't threatening. I was actually working with an individual who was an executive in an oil company. And this guy was a couple of years out from retirement, but they were actually, the company had almost had enough that they were just doing everything they could not to fire him before he finished out his time. But I mean, he'd made the company millions of dollars over the years. He'd literally set up contracts or at least had meetings to do so in almost every country in the world. And so I worked with this guy individually and did some coaching. But part of that was that I communicated with his direct report, the COO, and did him sort of coached him how to respond to this bully and really interacted with him almost more so than I did the bully himself. And that's oftentimes what coaching looks like when dealing with bullies. But then I also came in and did some training for the staff, not only about how to deal with him, but how to deal with everybody, how to communicate with different people on the leadership team and different employees, and even how to interface with the public. And really, and I'm not going to say that this guy's personality just changed overnight. I worked with him for a while, and I'm not going to say his personality completely changed ever. But what it did do is it did give the team a lot better strategies for interacting with him. And once we had some leverage, okay, he really was able to get in a place to recognize, hey, I really don't want to lose my job over this. Image is important to him as it is to all bullies. And so he didn't want to go out that way. Appearance wise, he didn't want to go out that way for a number of reasons, really. And once we had some leverage and he really realized that that was a possibility, we got him in a place that he could really make some actual meaningful changes that a lot of people that just see bullies on the surface level don't think they're capable of. So it really did make life a lot more manageable for everybody on the team for this bully to kind of finish his 2 years out and retire in a way and that was really mutually beneficial. So if you've got a bully or other difficult person in your organization, I'd love to come in and do some work with your team, help you out with that. And I guarantee you that it will help you deal more effectively with these individuals that are causing problems in one way or another, and really that are contributing to sort of impacting your culture in a negative way, contributing to poor employee retention, killing the morale in your organization, and ultimately keeping you from achieving the results that you'd like to achieve. Shoot me an email at difficultpeople@jeffriggenbaugh.com if you're interested, and I'd love to start that discussion about coming in and speaking at one of your events or doing some work with your team. Otherwise, I hope these tips were helpful for you. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday and rest of your week. I will see you next Tuesday for another installment of our Tips Tuesday when we talk about dealing with the drama mamas in your life. In the meantime, hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you then. Be well.